Hi, welcome to another IELTS video. In this video, we're going to look at the role memorizing model essays can play in improving your grammatical accuracy on the IELTS. If you find this video helpful, come and befriend me on Facebook at facebook.com/IELTS. For more lessons like this one, visit my blog at IELTS.com and join us at the forum IELTSnetwork.com. Many IELTS candidates fail to achieve the writing mark they need because of poor grammar. As you may remember from a recent video of mine, I am of the opinion that grammar acts as a linchpin to the other sections of the IELTS rubric, namely task achievement, coherence and cohesion, and lexical resources. So a question I am often asked is, how do I improve my grammatical accuracy on the IELTS? And the answer to this question is that a strategy used by one candidate may not prove effective for another. So, keeping that in mind, today I'd like to present one strategy that you may wish to experiment with and test whether effective for you or not. This strategy is one that I regularly recommend to my in-class students, and it is effective and it does produce results. Their grammatical accuracy does improve. The strategy is to take model essays and memorize them word for word, and I will demonstrate for you this approach in a moment. Now I need to clarify that when I say memorize model essays, I don't mean to memorize the model essays and then go to your IELTS exam and then produce the exact same essay in the exam room. This would of course result in your IELTS writing attempt to be labeled invalid, and you would have to take the IELTS again. My suggestion is more the idea that you repeatedly reproduce model essays word for word. So every sentence, every comma, every capital letter, every line skip between paragraphs, every full stop, you reproduce the essays precisely as you see them. And slowly you will start to develop a feeling for the manner in which the sentences in these essays are structured. Okay, so here is the introduction paragraph of a model essay that I shared in a video from a few days ago. Now, let me just quickly memorize the first two lines and reproduce them. So if we read it together, the environment today is threatened by many factors. However, among the most concerning is polluted drinking water. Okay? Okay, so now for the moment I'm pretending that I'm a student studying. Okay, I'm going to remember these first two sentences and produce them from memory. So the environment today is threatened, oops, spelled that wrong, by many factors. And then we had transition. However, among the most concerning is polluted drinking water. Okay, I was pretty sure that's correct. Okay, now in reproducing this, I am forced to run through the process of creating these grammatically accurate sentences. So as I mentioned before, what you will find is that you will naturally start to develop a feeling for the way grammatically accurate sentences should sound, the way they are written, the way they are structured. And when this starts to happen, you will find that you will start to naturally adapt these sentence structures to your own writing. So in other words, doing this exercise will force you to remember certain wording patterns and how they are used in an IELTS context. Okay? So you likely now want to ask me whether or not it is important to know the grammatical rule behind the sentences you are repeating. And my answer to this is not really. If you are ever confused by a structure that you see or that you're reproducing, you can look it up in your grammar guide or online, but it's important to keep in mind that most native speakers that write with grammatical accuracy do so despite not usually understanding the grammatical patterns behind their sentences. So if we take the example couple of sentences on the screen, the first sentence is written in a passive tense. Most native English speakers likely don't know what a passive tense is, but they could produce a sentence like this because it feels right to them or it sounds right to them. So this sort of thing is probably true for you in your own native language as well. You don't need to think about grammar before you start writing. You just write. So this is exactly why memorizing IELTS essays works. It forces you to ingrain sentence patterns in your memory, and then when you go to write your own essays, they more naturally come. You can more naturally adapt these sentence structures to your own writing. So now let's look at this first passive sentence again and what we've learned by reproducing the sentence. Now let's just say that you reproduce this sentence, say 10 times, okay? So the sentence is in your mind, you understand the structure, you understand the meaning, but you might not particularly understand the grammar itself and how it works. So let's pretend that using a passive tense is something that is new for you. So perhaps you're capable of saying many factors threaten the environment, but the environment today is threatened by many factors. This is something you are a little bit uncomfortable using. But by repeating this sentence and other passive sentences you see in other IELTS essays, the structure becomes ingrained in your memory. And before long, you will notice ways that you can modify the structure to suit your own topic. Okay, so for example, you may notice that you could use the same structure to talk about a different topic. So let's change the environment to something like, I don't know, humanity. Okay, so humanity today is threatened by pollution. Okay, so we've now created another grammatically accurate sentence based on a form that we've learned through repetition. Or we might say something like education today. Education today is threatened by smartphone use, which was a topic that came up on an IELTS essay sometime last year. Now we could even try changing the verb itself. So what could we say instead of threatened? Let's say hindered, maybe, or damaged, hindered. So education today is hindered by smartphone use. Okay, so we're adapting this structure to our own writing, to our own topics, to our own essays. Now let's take the second sentence. So, however, among the most concerning is polluted drinking water. Now memorizing this sentence and reproducing it over and over again gets you into the pattern of using colloquial phrases like among the most. Oops. Okay, that might be a phrase that you didn't know before, you were using improperly. Among the most plus some kind of adjective. So in doing this, you start to get a feel for the sound of the structure, and then you can alter the structure itself. So perhaps I might be able to create a sentence. I'm just going to take out the transition here. So maybe the sentence becomes among the most problematic. Okay, among the most problematic is polluted drinking water. We could change this as well. It's problematic to maybe energy produced through the burning of coal. So among the most problematic is energy produced through the burning of coal. Okay, it's just another grammatically accurate sentence that we created through memorizing the structure that was present before. Or among the most, let's say, iconic. Among the most iconic, perhaps we could say is, let's change this to Bill Gates. And then maybe even expand. A man whose, let's say, understanding, what did Bill Gates understand? Let's see, understanding of technology and entrepreneurial spirit led him to tremendous success, we'll say. Okay, so I mean, as you can see, I'm kind of riffing off of this. I'm experimenting a little bit, but it all came from the original sentence that the original phrase that we learned through repeating the essay. Okay, so I hope that exercise helps illustrate how repetition can be a part of your IELTS writing strategy. It opens you up to new avenues of experimentation. It will give you the confidence that certain sentence structures, you will just know that they are grammatically accurate because you've repeated them so many times over and over again. It allows a model essay to act as your mentor for your own writing, and I think that that's a wonderful way to study. It's a great way to develop confidence, and I hope that you use this strategy and that your writing is benefited by it. Thank you for listening, and good luck with your studies.